Hey guys, welcome back to Season 2, Episode 19 of True Crime with Tiff Klein, giving criminals the disrespect they deserve. Tonight I'm not really giving anybody disrespect, but I do want to shine light on a case that happened in 1995 and something that I found very bizarre. Now, I've been going to sleep to unsolved mysteries most of my life since I was 5. I will be 38, so for a very long time. And the other night I was in and out of sleep, and a case made my ears ring. And I opened my eyes, and it was something so bizarre and so strange. And if you were a fan of psychedelic rock, you might be familiar with the band Iron Butterfly. That's right. This is the vanishing of Philip Taylor Kramer, rock star, genius, missing person. Let's get into it. On February 12th, 1995, a 42-year-old musician, father, and aerospace engineer named Philip Taylor Kramer made a series of frantic phone calls. He told 911 operators he was going to kill himself. He told his wife he loved her, and then he vanished. For 4 years, no one knew where he was. Not his family, not his bandmates, not the FBI, not the scientists he worked with, not the people who believed he was on the verge of a world-changing discovery. And when his remains were finally found, the questions only got louder. This is the story of a rock star who walked away from fame, dove into the world of advanced technology, and disappeared under circumstances so bizarre that even today, people argue about what really happened. This is the case of Philip Taylor Kramer. Before the mystery, before the theories, before the headlines, there was a kid from Youngstown, Ohio. Philip Gene Kramer was born July 12th, 1952. His father, Ray Kramer, was a musician. Music was in his blood from the beginning. By the early 1970s, Philip was now going by Taylor. He was a gifted bassist, a rising talent, and in 1974, he joined one of the biggest psychedelic rock bands of the era, Iron Butterfly. Yes, that Iron Butterfly, the band behind the 17-minute rock epic In Agata da Vida. Taylor toured, recorded the rock and roll life, but unlike many musicians of the era, he wasn't consumed by the lifestyle. He was fascinated by something else: science, technology, mathematics. He had a mind that didn't stop. After Iron Butterfly dissolved, Taylor didn't chase fame. He went back to school. He studied aerospace engineering. He worked on advanced computer imaging. He co-founded a tech company called Total Multimedia. Wait for it. It focused on groundbreaking digital compression technology. That's right. The kind that would later make streaming possible. You're streaming this right now. So he founded Total Multimedia, and it was focused on groundbreaking digital compression technology. How cool was that? He was brilliant, driven, obsessed with solving problems most people couldn't even understand, but brilliance has a cost. And by the early 90s, Taylor was unraveling. In the months leading up to his disappearance, Taylor was under enormous pressure. His company was struggling financially. He believed he was on the verge of a major breakthrough, something involved something advanced, imaging, possibly even biometric identification. He told his friends he was working on technology that could change the world. I mean, it's pretty cool that this guy did this. I mean, you guys are streaming right now listening to my podcast because of the groundwork he was working on. He also believed people were trying to steal it. His wife, Jennifer, later said he wasn't sleeping. He was paranoid. He was convinced he was being followed. He talked about government agencies, and he talked about enemies. And then, February 12th, Taylor left his home in Thousand Oaks, California, to pick up a business associate from LAX. He never arrived. Instead, he made a series of disturbing phone calls. Call number 1 was to 911. He told the operator he was going to kill himself. He sounded distressed, frantic, not like himself. Call number 2 to his wife. He told her he loved her. He told her goodbye. Call number 3 was to a friend. He said something cryptic like, "I'm going to kill myself, and I want everyone to know O.J. Simpson is innocent." That last line would haunt investigators for years. And after those calls, silence. His Ford Aerostar van was gone. Taylor was gone, and the search began. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department launched a massive search. Helicopters, ground teams, media coverage, missing posters, but nothing came to surface. His family insisted he wouldn't kill himself. His father, Ray, famously said, "My son would not take his own life. He was murdered." There's theories of him committing suicide, which 911 call backs up, the goodbye messages he gave, and the stress that he was under. Theory number 2 was murder. His father believed that Taylor was killed for his technology, and some coworkers said he feared corporate espionage. Others said he was being threatened. Theory 3, some people say that there was a government involvement. Taylor had worked on advanced imaging systems. He believed that he discovered a way to transmit data faster than the speed of light. He told people he was being watched. Theory 4, he staged his own disappearance. Some believed he fled. Others believed he had a mental break and just wandered off, but none of these theories had evidence because there was no body, no van, no trace for 4 years. On May 29th, 1999, a group of hikers near Decker Canyon Road in Malibu made a chilling discovery. At the bottom of a ravine, a drop so steep it was nearly invisible from the road, they found a rusted Ford Aerostar van. Inside were skeletal remains. Dental records confirmed it. It was Philip Taylor Kramer. The coroner ruled it a probable suicide. The van had crashed. Taylor had died on impact or shortly after, and case closed, at least officially. Even after the discovery, the questions didn't stop. Why wasn't the van found earlier? Search teams had combed the area. Helicopters flew overhead, and yet the van sat there for 4 years. Why did he call 911? His tone was panicked, but also coherent. And why did he mention O.J. Simpson? Was it a sign of mental collapse or something else? And what about his technology? Some colleagues insisted he was on the verge of a breakthrough. Others said he was delusional. But why did his father insist it was murder? Ray Kramer believed his son was targeted. He never accepted the suicide ruling. And why did Taylor believe he was being followed? Paranoia? Or something real? I mean, and to this day, no one can answer these questions with certainty. And as of today, May 17th, 2026, this case is officially closed. The cause of death is listed as probable suicide, and there's no evidence of foul play that was ever found. His company, Total Multimedia, dissolved, and his family still mourns him. His father passed away still believing Taylor was murdered, and fans of Iron Butterfly still debate the case. Conspiracy theorists still cite his disappearance as evidence of suppressed technology, and online communities continue to analyze every detail, every phone call, every theory. But here's what we do know. Philip Taylor Kramer was a brilliant man, talented musician, a devoted father, a mind that burned too bright, too fast, a man caught between genius and pressure, between innovation and instability. And on February of 1995, something inside him broke. Now, I've never listened to Iron Butterfly, but I am aware of them. Again, a big psychedelic rock. And pretty cool that he's from Ohio. I am too, but Youngstown's like on the border of PA and Ohio. A few of my cases recently have happened in Ohio, which is very strange, but being a bassist for Iron Butterfly when he joined in 1974, an aerospace engineer, a computer imaging and compression technology developer, and co-founder of Total Multimedia. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. You don't hear, you have Brian May of Queen, who has a doctorate in physics, right? That's pretty cool. I mean, some of them are really, really, really freaking intelligent, right? But they're all geniuses in their own way. You know, because he was born into a musical family, it just makes sense. But he had a really deep interest in science and math, and that was his passion, So he toured with Iron Butterfly all through the 70s, and he was known for being disciplined, intelligent, and not heavily involved in the stereotypical rock and roll lifestyle. And then he just left the band to pursue education and engineering. So he loved music, but he loved science more. And because he specialized in digital compression, biometric imaging, data transmission, he studied aerospace engineering. That's really neat. Total Multimedia attempted to pioneer early video compression and streaming era technology. This is going back how many decades? My dad told me once he remembers opening up a magazine and it said something about a device that sits in your pocket and it carries your music, your credit card info, or, payment info, driver's license, plays music. They were predicting the iPhone, but obviously they didn't have a name for it yet. But Philip, he was so afraid that someone would want his technology and not sleeping with paranoia. I mean, when someone gets obsessed with something and passionate, they don't sleep, right? And I think a lot of crime investigators go through this. They throw their heart, blood, soul, and sweat, tears into a case, and they probably don't sleep much. They probably get a little bit of paranoia, and after a while, it beats you down. It beats you down as a person, no matter what it is that you're doing. If you don't get enough sleep, I know for myself, if I don't sleep a lot, I become an asshole. And everything around me is just, I feel like I'm going in slow motion. So, but they said he was intense. He was a perfectionist, a visionary, and someone who pushed himself beyond healthy limits. He was warm and intelligent. But the fact that he left to pick up a friend from an airport and never arrived, made several disturbing phone calls, and vanished without a trace, it's really weird. And especially that there was like a massive search that produced nothing. And then all of a sudden in 1999, they found his van at the bottom of a ravine. But yet search people and helicopters and all this, like nothing was found for 4 years. And then all of a sudden one day it was. It's very strange to me. Because like hikers found his van at the bottom of a ravine in Malibu. So nobody found that for 4 years. And ruling it a probable suicide because there's not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence to say he took his own life, or maybe he crashed by accident or somebody placed him there. Nobody really knows. But his dad is hell-bent, that he was murdered. He said that his family or his son would never take his own life. And this case remains one of the most unusual missing person cases in rock history. Like, we know rock and roll people die young, most of them, that Forever 27 Club or drug overdoses, this, that, and the other. But this one's weird. Like, why did he bring up OJ at the end? That to me is very, very weird. Makes no sense. And it could be if he was really having a mental breakdown. It's just something random that he said. He is still discussed in tech circles, conspiracy forums, and true crime communities. His disappearance is often cited as an example of genius under pressure, mental health collapse, possible foul play, and the dark side of innovation. I mean, I don't know a lot about this guy except from what I researched. And I think the only thing that would make logical sense is, he probably was paranoid, didn't sleep, and he just couldn't deal with the stuff anymore. Or somebody was really trying to steal his technology and patent his work and get rid of him. I mean, it's possible, right? It is possible. So I just wanted to bring that to light because I find that I just feel like this is a very unique case. I mean, who goes from being a rock and roll star to, a scientist on the, groundbreaking technology to help us stream, which we're doing today, 31 years later. Like, what? Him growing up around rehearsals and instruments and the expectation of excellence, it kind of figures that he was probably had a very high IQ, was very gifted. And that's why science and math stuck with him. He learned bass young and mastered it pretty quickly. And he excelled academically, especially in physics and math. So I'm going to go ahead and say he was probably gifted. And sometimes they live lonely lives. Nobody understands them. They don't know how to express what they're thinking, what's going inside their head. It's very hard to have an engaging conversation with somebody that's not on your level, right? We know how it is. And imagine somebody who had a really high IQ that just could not get his thoughts out on paper or communicate in an engaging conversation. But they said when he was a teenager, he had 2 brains. So it was like one for music and one for science. And they were always both going at the same time. So it was like a duality that would define him forever. And when he joined Iron Butterfly in 1974, the band was already legendary. So he toured internationally with them and he played massive shows and he lived the rock star life, but he never really liked it or embraced it. He was just in it. He didn't like to party. He spent a lot of downtime reading technical manuals. And he talked about physics more than groupies. And he was too smart for rock and roll. So he loved music, but he didn't love the lifestyle. And by the late 70s, he walked away from fame. Something most musicians never do because he felt called to something bigger. Like I said, he reinvented himself when he left the band. He studied aerospace. He specialized in computer imaging and digital compression. And he just became so obsessed with the future of data transmission. And he liked to work on missile guidance systems, advanced imaging, early biometric identification, digital compression algorithms, and high-speed data transfer. He was very intense, obsessive, and known for overworking. So put that into perspective, he could have worked himself into a mental breakdown. Lack of sleep, paranoia, thinking people are after him. Maybe he drove off a cliff into a ravine. Maybe he couldn't take his genius anymore and he just felt alone and did actually take his life. Maybe somebody took his life. We won't know. So in the early 90s, so this was years before YouTube, Netflix, broadband, he believed he was on the verge of something revolutionary, and that's when the pressure really started crushing him. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't live. He couldn't feel. He knew he was there. And it was something that his dad had started, and he took over, and he knew he was about to crack it. And he just couldn't quite get there. So, 1994, 1995 rolls around. He sleeps very little. Okay. He was working around the clock. He was losing weight, becoming so paranoid, believing he was being followed, convinced someone wanted his technology, and kept talking about government agencies, talking about enemies, and changing the world. His wife later said that he was brilliant, but he was exhausted, and he wasn't himself. Coworkers said he was under more pressure than anyone should be, and his father said he was scared. And this all plays into his disappearance, but there's actual, hard evidence. The fact that he called 911, he called his wife, and he called a friend, I mean, it does sound suicidal, but why bring up OJ? It all points to a mental collapse, a nervous breakdown, suicide. Maybe it was code for something. It was a distraction. Maybe he disappeared and wanted to fake his death. I mean, people were saying that, a few years after he died, they kept seeing him. But then all of a sudden, he was found in the bottom of a ravine. So who's to say he didn't escape for a little while and then finally took his life? Or, faked his death, or went into witness protection, or they said they found his remains at the bottom of a ravine in Malibu. So I don't really know. To me, it sounds like he was having a mental breakdown. But with the things that come out in this world, we now know not to believe everything the media tells us, what the government tells us. And it is very, very, very possible that somebody took his life because he was too smart for his own good. And they didn't want someone that smart in this world. And they wanted his genius, and they wanted his smarts, and they wanted to patent his ideas, and they had to get rid of him. I mean, that's a theory. It's I'm not saying it's true. It's just a theory. And I don't like saying theories on my podcast, but there's a few different angles that this episode or this case could point to, and it is possible. Okay. I'm just bringing up possibilities here. The one I lead to the most would be a mental breakdown, but second would be someone taking his life, and for him to say, I want everyone to know O.J. Simpson is innocent, like, I'm going to kill myself. It's just so weird, right? So with the search efforts, it was massive. They had helicopters, ground teams, canyon sweeps, media coverage, missing posters, and family appeals, and nothing. And his van was never spotted on any major road. No witnesses saw him after the calls. No credit card activity. Keep that in mind. No bank withdrawals. No body, no vehicle, no trace. It's like he just vanished into thin air. So then all of a sudden in May 1999, hikers found a rusted Ford Aerostar van at the bottom of a ravine. Had skeletal remains, personal items, and confirmed to be Philip Kramer, but they said he likely died on impact or shortly after for probable suicide. The location raised questions. The search team had combed the area. Helicopters flew overhead, like I said earlier, and the ravine was near a road. Yet the van sat there for 4 years. Some investigators said that the angle of the ravine made it nearly invisible. The brush was thick and the van blended in. Others said it should have been found and something didn't add up. There's a lot of evidence that backs up it being suicide and murder and corporate espionage, like he said. Government involvement, mental breakdown, staged disappearance, that some people believe he fled, he planned to disappear, and something went wrong. And there's no evidence for this, but the mystery fuels speculation, and it's officially closed. But there's no evidence of foul play, and they closed it. It's probable suicide, and that's it. I think there's more to this story. And, it just shows the genius under pressure, dark side of innovation, and a thin line between brilliance and breakdown. And again, I saw it on Unsolved Mysteries, and it just caught my attention. So check it out. It's one of the older episodes with Robert Stack. I believe it was, let me think here. I'm trying to remember what season it was in. I mean, obviously it was one of the later because he passed away in 1995. Let me just look it up real quick. Sometimes I have to do research on the spot. And my computer and let's see. It was season 9, episode 9. It aired November 8th, 1996. And it was a segment of missing persons, and the segment was called Philip Taylor Kramer. It aired 3 years before his remains were found in 1999, so the segment ends with him still missing and the case unsolved. That's where I saw it. Again, that's Unsolved Mysteries, Season 9, Episode 9, original air date, November 8th, 1996. 4 years about before he went, or 3 years before his remains were found. So if you guys want more information, look up Philip Taylor Kramer of Iron Butterfly. That's all I have for you today. I know it's a short episode, but it is bizarre. And it's, I don't know, the weirdest thing about it is OJ. Like, I don't know, something's not sitting right. Like, I know he was sleep deprived and paranoid and thought people were after him, but I know that at that time, I mean, OJ case was everywhere. It was just nonstop circus media, but I don't know what was the importance of him bringing that up in one of his last phone calls if he was committing suicide. Like, what was the importance? You know, you can tell anybody you want to say before you die, and why bring up that OJ was innocent? I don't think it was a literal statement. I think his mind was probably racing like a million miles an hour, and that was just one of his thoughts, maybe. It's just really weird. Is it a coded message? Is it a way of him saying, like, I'm being framed? I mean, I think OJ did it, but Nancy Grace signed a book for me that even wrote, P.S. OJ did it. It's just weird, right? Anyway, I wanted to bring light on Philip Taylor Kramer. He seemed like he was a brilliant man and an amazing musician. Unfortunately, his genius put him under pressure, and what happened to him, no one knows. Was he placed there? Was he killed? Did he drive off the cliff into the ravine? Did he disappear for a while and then get placed there? If you want to do some more info, again, check out Philip Taylor Kramer of Iron Butterfly. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, I will not have an episode out because I will be in Vegas for CrimeCon, my second time. That's right. I will not be making a podcast because I won't have my equipment with me. I will be too busy hanging out with 7,000 true crime people. Nancy Grace, Daryl McCullum, Gabby Petito's parents, my friend Aspen, Joseph Scott Morgan, your host Jules, Danny After Dark, Like Mother, Like Murder podcast, Crime Weekly, Vinnie Politan, Jesse Weber, Nate Eaton. I can go on and on and on and on. But that's what I'll be doing the week of May 25th. So I hope everybody has an amazing Memorial Day. If I don't do another episode, I might crank one more out beforehand. But if I don't, I hope you guys have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy it. And I will be posting on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram while I'm at CrimeCon. If you guys followed me last year, you knew that I post in real time. I'm not one of those people that wait until the end of the trip. I post in real time so you can experience it while I'm experiencing it. And the hardest part of CrimeCon is always the wall of missing people and talking to victims' families. I'm going to be meeting Brittany Phillips's mom, Maggie, this year. We've stayed in touch since last year. I didn't get to meet her in person, but we've been in touch online. And Alexandria Lautzer, her mom, Joanne, I get to meet her in person. Quite a few that I'm looking forward to. Like, I've made friends with them online, but now I actually get to meet them because it's a chaos. CrimeCon's chaos, and I didn't get to meet every single person last year in the podcast row, but this year I'm going to spend more time meeting those creators because last year I met all the speakers I wanted to meet except for Ashley Banfield. And Josh Mankiewicz, but I want to meet different people this year. I'm going to be hanging out in Creator Row probably more than usual and learn some podcast tips. One day I would love to have my podcast at CrimeCon, but shit's expensive to fly. I think I'd rather just walk around and network and pass out my own swag than be stuck behind a table, but we'll see. Maybe one day. I was supposed to go to Crime Stereo Fest in Boston in October, but unfortunately, I have to have surgery at the end of July, laparoscopic surgery to clean out some adhesions from previous surgeries. And I need those days just in case. So unfortunately, I can't go to Boston now. And Boston, Salem has always been two places I've always wanted to go, especially around Halloween time. So kind of disappointed, but maybe next year. But I will also be handing out some swag for that event. I told Sasha I would still do that. And I'll have my own stickers and postcards to give out as well. So if you're at CrimeCon, come find me and I will give you some. July 17th, mark the date, is the 3rd annual Gabby Petito Golf Tournament. I will be sponsoring it again from Turning the Corner with Client's Corner. I do have a separate organization. I'm trying to build a nonprofit for domestic violence awareness, missing persons, etc., and mental health. So I sponsored and volunteered last year. I'm going to do that again this year up at the Mount Sinai. It's in Long Island. Willow Creek Golf and Country Club. It's a beautiful day. People come out to support Gabby and the awareness of domestic violence. And Joe and Jim have a great time. Nikki and Tara have a great time. I had a great time. So I'm really looking forward to it. This year, my friend Aspen's joining me. He's volunteering, and we're just going to have a great day at the golf course. So that's what's coming up. And this thing with, I can't make a whole episode on it because there's not a lot, but Alex Murdaugh getting a retrial and could possibly face the death penalty. And Buster's not happy about it because now he says he has to relive the entire thing, right? Creighton Waters was on with Anjanette Levy. He won't say much because it's not ethical as a prosecutor to release details before the trial. Harpulton really didn't give much, but evidence has come forward, and rumor has it that they were told where the guns that were used on Maggie and Paul were hidden, but that's, allegedly, that hasn't been verified, and they're going to have to find a bigger venue and jurors that don't really know about the case. But good luck with that. Wouldn't that be something if this case, he goes to retrial, still gets guilty, and then goes to the death penalty? I mean, regardless, this guy isn't getting out. So a lot of people are up in arms because they're like, oh my God, Alex Murdaugh is not going to be guilty. He's still guilty for for those financial crimes, and he's in 27 to 40 years. Like, he's not getting out. Even if they say, oh, he's not guilty of murdering Maggie and Paul, he still is sitting in prison, guys. So calm down, put your arms down. He ain't getting out. Harpulton says it won't be within the year, but Creighton Waters says that it's up to the Supreme Court and the judge that they appoint, and it could be before year's end, but I don't know. I don't know if Alec is going to take the stand again. His egotistical self, I'm sure he will. More to come on that. Again, I can't do a whole episode on that, so I just wanted to plug that in at the end. I don't think there was anything else. Corey Richards is in for life. The Crash documentary with Mackenzie Shirilla killing Dom Russo and Davian Flanagan. I did a podcast before this one on that. I don't know. There was a lot going on, but when I get back from CrimeCon, obviously I'm going to do that might kick off season 3 because season 1 started with CrimeCon 1, and I'm either going to end season 2 with CrimeCon Vegas, or I'm going to start season 3. Maybe I'll end it. I don't know. Either way, thank you for listening. Again, this is True Crime with Tiff Klein. Please subscribe. I'm on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, YouTube, all your favorite streaming platforms. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, True Crime Tiff Klein. Please leave me comments, reviews. It's all greatly appreciated. Tell your friends and keep giving criminals the disrespect they deserve.